Hello and welcome to First Page Fridays. This is April for Sit Right Here, and today we're going to look at somebody's first page. It's first page of a novel or short story or memoir. I don't even know yet. I haven't read it, but we're going to read through it together, and then we're going to talk about what's working, where is there room for improvement, what are the opportunities. If you would like to send in your first page, there's a link below in the show notes to a page where a little form where you can send in your first page. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, let's jump into it here. Move myself out of the way. I'm going to start by just reading it through, and then we'll jump back up to the top and start working on it from there. I always like to ask for a little bit of grace when it comes to things like names. It's my first time reading it through, so be nice to me. I'm doing the best I can. Let's see here. If there was ever a moment to fly, it was now. I would soar over the blue Aegean, land on the deck of the morning ferry, cutting white foam toward Athens, and be free. Take me with you, I said longingly, since no one outside comic books and movies had powers. But the ferry didn't stop, and I stayed moored to the small balcony. I closed the ledger with a thump. I'd hoped I misunderstood the first time, but the numbers didn't lie. A G-Street was bleeding money, and I had to do triage. You know what would happen if anyone else caught you talking to boats, right? Antonis's question made me jump. I looked up to find my best friend giving me the look he reserved for drama queen moments. Antonis always found them entertaining. The gossipers would have food until winter, I said, and forced out a laugh. But the truth stuck in my throat. All it would take was one villager overhearing, and the whispers about tea leaves and messages from beyond would start. I'd be the kooky Romani girl again. Thanks, he said, sipping the frappe I'd made after calling him over half an hour ago. He plopped down on the chair. You really want to leave Lifnos that badly? It was too early for loaded questions, so I drank some frappe too instead of replying. Better stay put. With my luck lately, I'd probably jinx that ship to the bottom of the sea. All right, interesting here. So the thing I like most about this page is that we get a sense that this person does not want to be where they are. Yes, okay. And that's a great setup for a first page, right? It gives your character somewhere to go over the course of the story. Will this person, the question that is posed by this first page in my mind is, will this person escape their situation, find something better, or learn to love where they're at? And that is a tale old as time. And I always got to qualify that there are no new stories, right? It's how you tell it that is new, but the structure of this person is deeply unhappy. What are they going to do about it? That's the interesting question here. So let's start back up at the top. If there was ever a moment to fly, it was now. I would soar over the blue Aegean, land on the deck of the morning ferry, cutting white foam toward Athens, and be free. Now, okay, so we're in past tense here once we get into the actual scene. Because it's take me with you, I said longingly. So we know we're in past tense. So the word now is always a little tricky. I've rewritten whole sentences, whole paragraphs to avoid the word now, especially if you're in past tense. So opening with it is a little tricky. If there was ever a moment to fly, it was now. It was, I might say that, so opportunity here. Be specific. It was that May morning, as I stood looking out over the water. So the reason I'm putting this in here, as I stood looking out over the water, when I was first reading this through, I wasn't sure if I was on another boat looking at the ferry cutting away. I wasn't sure where the main character was standing. And because we're looking out over the water and we're thinking about soaring, right, flying away, I guess for some reason my brain was thinking I was on a different boat looking at another, like wanting to be on a different boat, right? And this is more of a metaphorical different boat. She's clearly on the land, we learn, and that she's like on a balcony. Where is this? Yeah, and that she's dealing with a ledger, and so she's dealing with a ledger, and she talks about the business. So by the time we get a couple sentences in, I understood that that our main character isn't on a boat looking at another boat, but I think you never want to start your page with any confusion. So there's opportunity here to really ground your character. If there was ever a moment to fly, it was that May morning as I stood looking out over the water. Now, maybe it's August. I don't choose whatever month it is, but there's opportunity here to ground us in the month, in where they are sticking. So as I stood looking out over the water. Stood is not the most exciting of verbs. Maybe I don't know, maybe there's another way to describe how this person is on the balcony as I lounged looking over but this is not really a loungy kind of story. As I paced the balcony looking out over the water. You could do something a little more interesting than stood, but I'm going to leave it for now. It's your story. You can fill that out. I would soar over the blue Aegean, and then again, since we have to anchor it in the place, I might say, if I could, I would soar over the blue Aegean, land on the deck of the morning ferry, cutting white foam. It's a little awkward. You might say cutting a white foam V behind it, or trailing the morning ferry trailing white foam. There we go. Towards Athens and be free. I might go like this. Take me with you, I said longingly, since no one outside comic books and movies had powers. So if the story is about comic books, movies, if this is a thing that's going to be recurring, then great. Then it counts as foreshadowing. You're hinting at things to come. If it's not, I would cut it. I would just say, but the ferry didn't stop, and I stayed moored to the small balcony. I closed the ledger with a thump. I'd hoped I'd misunderstood the first time, but the numbers didn't lie. Agistry was bleeding money, and I had to do triage. And then we've got someone else's voice comes in here. You know what would happen if anyone else caught you talking to boats, right? Antonice's, and I am not a copy editor. I'm a developmental and line editor, so I'm never sure if the name ends in S, is there an apostrophe there? I think grammatically there is not, so I'm going to leave it. I think you're right. It's always kind of trips me up though. And again, this is the kind of thing that I will rewrite sentences around, because to me this is just an awkward, and Antonice's question made me jump. Yeah, so I want you know what would happen if anyone else caught you talking to boats? It was Antonice. It was my best friend, Antonice. Oops. His question made me jump. Oops, sorry. Antonice. His question made me jump. I looked at, he gave me a look he reserved for my drama queen moment. The look, he gave me the look he usually reserved. No, I guess this counts as it. So if you say usually reserved for my drama queen moments would imply that she doesn't. I'm assuming this is a she. Why do I think this is a she? Oh, the girl. Yeah, they refer to themselves as a girl. So, where was I going with that? He gave me the look. So it would, if you say he gave me the look he usually reserved for my drama queen moments, that would imply that our main character doesn't think that she's being dramatic. But the way you have it now is that she understands that she's being dramatic. Again, these are subtle little things that cue your reader into how your characters think about themselves. So I'm going to leave that. That's your choice as the author. He gave me the look he reserved for my drama queen moments. Antonice always found them entertaining. The gossipers would have food until winter. Now, since we're changing who's talking, I'm going to give a paragraph. The gossipers would have food until winter. Now, I wonder if there's a word for this in Greek, or if there's a more like slangy type word. Gossiper is such a awkward word. People don't usually, I don't know, maybe some people do, but like the old biddies, or I don't know, there's some opportunity here to give a little local flavor if you want to. Have food until winter, I said, and forced out a laugh, but the truth stuck in my throat. All it would take was one villager overhearing, and the whispers about tea leaves and messages from beyond would start. I'd be the kooky Romani girl again. Thanks, he said. Now again, we're switching. Who's talking? So thanks, he said, sipping the frappe I'd made him. I might put, before he says thanks, I might put in the thing that he's saying thanks for. I handed Antonis the drink I'd made for him. Thanks, he said. Oh, and put it here. Frappe. Oh, come on. Let's do the... Oh, why are you not giving me the E? Oh, man. All right. Well, we will just leave that. Okay. The frappe I'd made him. Thanks, he said, taking a sip. I paused there because taking a sip, you could always say he said, and took a sip. Past tense is usually better, just in terms of how we phrase things. So your choice. You could say, he said, taking a sip, or thanks, he said, sipping the frappe. You play with it. He plopped down on the chair. I don't know that's important. Is it important that she made the drink after calling him over half an hour ago? I don't know that detail adds a whole lot right here. I would encourage staying with the character in this moment here. Thanks, he said, taking a sip. Or he said, thanks, he said, and took a sip of his drink. He plopped down on the chair. I love plopped. Plopped is so much better than sat. Sat is a very boring verb. And plopped, I feel like I'm already getting a sense of this character. He loves his frappe. He calls her out for being a drama queen. He plops down in chairs. You really want to leave Lifnos that badly? It was too early for loaded questions, so I drank some frappe too instead of replying. Better stay put. With my luck lately, I'd probably jinx that ship to the bottom of the sea. And I don't know that you need to explain this. It was too early for loaded questions, period. I drank the so. It's the so that was bugging me. I drank some frappe instead of some of my own frappe instead of replying. Better stay put. With my luck lately, I'd probably jinx the ship to the bottom of the sea. All right. So I think this is actually a really solid first page. We start with this desire to leave. I do think grounding us a little more in the scene of, she pacing on the balcony. She says it's a small balcony, so maybe there's not room to pace, but putting us in a time. It very quickly puts us right on the water in Greece. We get right off the bat that there's problems with the business, whatever the ledger is. The fact that it's a paper ledger makes me wonder about the time setting of this. I mean, we know there's a ferry, right? A ferry is a modern thing. We get, and frappes, this doesn't feel like a period piece. So closing the ledger with a thump, I guess that's reading to me as this is an older business that has some older ways of doing things. Technology is just, it can make stories kind of dull. So I love things like paper. I love when cell phones cut out, just opportunities to make things hard on our characters. But maybe my only question at this point is, what details could you layer in to tell us a little bit about this character? For instance, our main character's name. I'd love to get a name in here. So thanks, Abby. I mean, Abby's not a Greek name. What would be? I'm assuming that our characters are Greek. Antonis, they're looking out over the Greek water. I don't know. Diana. Diana's a Greek name, right? It's yours, please. Please don't take offense. It's your story. I'm just looking for where could you get the character's name in so we can start to learn about them. And when he plops down into the chair, is he a skinny little thing or is he a big guy? Because if there's opportunity here. When he plops down into the chair, if he's a big guy, like the chair could be a little rickety and like, oh God, is it going to hold? Versus like if he's like one of those skinny guys who like pulls his knees up when he's sitting on a chair. There's just some opportunity here to give us a little bit of detail about these two people who clearly are the main players. I mean, Diana, as I'm calling her, is clearly our main character. And Antonis is either he's a sidekick or a good friend, a mentor maybe, but clearly an important character, which is great. You're not overwhelming these first pages with a lot of characters. You're dropping us right into scene. Just look for other ways that you might be able to tell us a little bit about us. Like when she's on the balcony, are her flip-flops flopping or are her high heels clicking? What else? What other ways could you tell us a little bit? She has drama queen moments. We know this. Let's see. Whispers about tea leaves and messages from beyond. That's an intriguing line to me because what it implies is that there might be maybe some family drama or history where that our main character is trying to shake, right? Like she's a businesswoman. She's trying to triage and stop the company from bleeding money. And she knows that if the gossipers or the old biddies of the village overheard her, they would be whispering about tea leaves and messages from beyond. So why is that the specific fear that this character has? You don't have to answer that here. I actually think this is just a really clever line because it hints at this person doesn't feel like an outsider coming in. This sounds like someone who has some history in the town, maybe, who's trying to shake old reputations, trying to be taken, like, again, like I'd be the kooky Romani girl, I guess from Romania. Or is that the last name? So this line, I'd be the kooky Romani girl. Again, these lines together really hint at like this person has some kind of history in this village or town, and they're trying to shake it, which is a lovely little bit of conflict to layer into a story. Yeah, all in all, this is a really solid first page. Just try to think for ways that you might be able to drop in just a couple little hints of who these not who they are, but like, what do they look like? What do they sound like? High pitch voice, low pitch voice, tall, short, skinny, fat. I like whatever descriptions you might be able to hint at. But other than that, it's solid. I would keep reading. I'm very curious to see if this is someone who comes to terms with where they are or gets the hell out. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much to whoever sent in the page. This doesn't work unless you share your work with us. So thank you, thank you. And if this is not your page and you'd like to share yours to get some feedback, please know we have my company policy is compassion and honesty. We will always tell you exactly where the opportunities are in your work, but we do it with compassion and kindness because writing is hard, and you should never tolerate someone being mean to you or your writing. So you will always get compassionate, honest feedback from me and my team. I'll see you next week.